Friends, I'm Vinod Sharma and I'm Senior Professor of Disaster Management. Today we will discuss a very important topic, that is Disaster Management Act 2005. In fact, we were not having any act for disaster management, and in British period there was one document you might have heard, that is Famine Code. In 1900 a document was prepared which is known as Famine Code. That is to give assistance or relief, to the affected people. And in British time, you might be knowing that these droughts and famines were very common, and they set up three commissions. In fact, from 1887 onwards, there are three commissions were set up. First Famine Commission, Second Famine Commission, Third Famine Commission, and ultimately the Famine Code was formed in 1900. But there was no act, after that. In fact, Nepal is having act, Bangladesh is having a separate ministry for disaster management, they have act, but we were not having any act. Former Prime Minister, Honorable Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, he set up a high-powered committee in 1999, and fortunately I was also member of that committee, and we gave a model act in the report. When we presented high-powered committee report, there was a model act, and we emphasized that there is a need of act in the country. In fact, 2001 in Gujarat there was earthquake, and after earthquake, Gujarat was first state which formed the act, and it was before 2005. And but I think this is very historic thing which has happened, and we will discuss in this session that what are the important component of this act. The first important thing which is of course they discuss all the definitions of hazard, vulnerability, disaster. In fact, the definition of disaster which is given in Act, it is very interesting, because they have covered each and everything in disaster, not only the natural calamities, but the man-made, even the accidents, even the road accident is, they have considered that it should be taken in disaster. So the first thing is that at national level, at state level, district level, there will be authorities, and at national level there is National Disaster Management Authority. You know that it is headed by Honorable Prime Minister. There are members, and then the role, responsibility, because this is a decision-making body and the apex body in the country dealing with disaster management. You may ask, that how this authority, what is the background? In fact, in United States, similar authority is there. That is called as FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and it is very famous, and it is very old. 1974, there was Stafford, Robert Stafford, and there was an act, Stafford Act, we know is. In 74, this act came, which was enacted in 88 actually. And 88 it was full-fledged, it was modified and then become more effective. And it was dealing with, how states should help or give relief to the people in case there is any calamity, and how president will declare emergency. So because they have a separate system, our system is altogether different than United States, but they have similar authority, I want to say this. So National Disaster Management Authority, which is apex body at national level. At state level, there are State Disaster Management Authority, which is headed by Honorable Chief Minister. Respective Chief Ministers are heading that. And it is also having Vice Chairman. So Vice Chairman is nominated by the Honorable Chief Minister, and they can have members, and but the number of members and all these things are not described. And for example, I am Vice Chair of Sikkim State Disaster Management Authority, and I am nominated by the Honorable Chief Minister, who is the Chairman of the State Authority. Then each district is having District Disaster Management Authority, which is headed by district magistrate and elected representative, maybe panchayat president or so. I think this is the system which is there throughout the country. And today national authority is there, it is functional. State, each and every state is having authority. Each and every district, we have 700 odd districts, the district magistrates, they are the head of district disaster management authorities. And so this system is there. There is one very important thing which is given in the Act, that we will be having, at national level, we will be having a national plan. And we will be discussing it in next session. And state level, we will be having a state plan. District level, we will be having a district plan. And all these things are mandatory, this is given in the Act. Then there is, they are saying that capacity building is very important, and for capacity development, there should be a separate institute. In fact, this Indian Institute of Public Administration, we were having a national center for disaster management, and Government of India, after the Act, they upgraded the same center to National Institute of Disaster Management. So this was existing here, and I am fortunate that I am the founder of that, and I was instrumental in setting up that center in this institute. But now it is a full-fledged institution which is headed by a executive director, and it is under Ministry of Home Affairs. Earlier, disaster management subject was, that it was in Ministry of Agriculture, but today it is in Ministry of Home Affairs, because in 2002, after Gujarat earthquake, the group of ministers, they recommended that this subject should be shifted from agriculture to home ministry. Then now this Act is giving direction that NDMA will give guidelines. So they have produced number of guidelines for flood, for drought, for each and every disaster. The guidelines are given, and they are available for district administration, they are available for the states, and this is giving overall directions to the people, and it's a very good document. About 26 they have already released, and they are working on some other guidelines. Then there is another thing which is given in the Act, that is the National Disaster Response Force. And this is the unique force which our country is having. Nobody is having, and nowhere in the world you will see that there is a NDRF or Disaster Response Force. There sometimes people used to call army, or sometimes it is police, sometimes armed police, and so on and so forth. Civil defense, volunteers. In Bangladesh there is a very big force of volunteers, about 84,000 volunteers are there. But India, we have National Disaster Response Force, and this force is located, about 12 battalions are already there. They are well trained in medical response, in collapse structure search and rescue, and they are located in different part of the country, and they have specialization. All the platoons, all the battalions, they are trained in different rescue, search and rescue, and they are located like this. Suppose the battalion which is located in the coastal area, they are trained in cyclone, how to rescue in cyclone situation. Some are expert in water rescue, so in flood situation, for example, Bihar, UP, every year we have floods. So how to do that, they are trained in that exercise. And so NDRF is also given, in this thing. Now, actually, the different chapters which is given in the Act, they are very detailed, and these details are that the role and responsibility of the state government, the role and responsibility of the central government, the district magistrate, etc. is given. Not only this, there are penalties, which can be imposed, even on the government officer. Suppose, and there are penalties on people, suppose you are taking relief, and you are not entitled for that, so there are penalties. Suppose you are giving wrong warning system or wrong warning, and you may be government institution or you may be private body, so you may be punished. So I think this kind of arrangement is there. So if you see holistically, the Act is very comprehensive, and but still, because as I told you that normally in 10 years we have modifications, and there are requirement of this kind of modifications. But if you see, it is having each and every component. One last thing I will say in this, that this is dealing with the finances also. And you might be knowing that the Finance Commission, they decide that how much should be the Calamity Relief Fund. And the Calamity Relief Fund nowadays known as National Disaster Response Fund. So NDRF, that is also, I'm sorry that both the terms are the same, but this is called as National Disaster Response Fund. And this response fund, now there are two funds basically which is recommended in the Act. One is the response fund, another is mitigation fund. And mitigation fund is given to the National Disaster Management Authority and to the state authorities, and this is the fund which is available so that you can spend before disaster. In India, there are many programs on which they are spending money, and because, for example, landslide, in case you do something before, then only you can save the place. So similarly for floods, similarly for other natural disaster, if you know the vulnerability, if you know that these are the places which can be affected, and you spend money, then you can protect the place, you can protect, you can minimize losses, and that's why the mitigation fund is also there in the Act. Actually, it will be an interesting session, because we will be discussing how we are better than others, in Asia, how, which countries are better than us, and how we can improve this Act, because after COVID-19 we have learned many things, and definitely, we will have to improve upon this thing, and maybe after 2020 or maybe 2021 we will go for amendment, because there are many things which are missing and need amendment. So this we will discuss in detail in this session. Thank you.